Ladies and gentlemen, you're with Newshour Agenda. Madhavdas G, and it's a massive story that we're breaking at the moment. The ASI report has been shared with the Mandir side in the Gyanvapi case. Now, the Mandir side's lawyer, Vishnu Shankar Jain, has read out details of the report a short while back. And crucially, the Mandir side has cited the report to say that there is evidence that the mosque was built on top of a temple. Citing the report, they've said that the mosque pillars have been reused from a pre-existing temple and that the western wall of the mosque was part of an existing temple. They also say that idols of Hindu deities were found buried in the basement.
जो पहले का स्ट्रक्चर था एक हिंदू मंदिर का, उसी के पिलर्स को रीयूज यहाँ पे किया गया, दोबारा इस्तेमाल किया गया। एएसआई ने माना है कि वहाँ पर हिंदू स्ट्रक्चर है, एक प्री एग्जिस्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर है। एएसआई ने जो शब्द यूज किया है वो कहा है प्री एग्जिस्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर है, उसके ऊपर ही उसी के खंभों को यहाँ पे इस्तेमाल किया गया। उसी के ऊपर वो सारी चीजें बनाई गई। यस, इंस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द एग्जिस्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर, फिर अरेबिक एंड पर्शियन इंस्क्रिप्शन ऑन द लूज स्टोन, फिर स्कल्पचर रिमेन्स इन दी सेलार्स एक्सेट्रा। इट कैन बी सेड दैट, अब ये एएसआई का जो कंक्लूजन है मैं वो आपको पढ़ के सुना रहा हूँ। इट कैन बी सेड दैट देयर एग्जिस्टेड अ लार्ज हिंदू टेम्पल prior to the construction of existing structure. The western wall of the existing structure is the remaining part of a pre-existing Hindu temple. ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण फाइंडिंग है एएसआई की। एएसआई ने कहा है कि जो पश्चिमी दीवार है इस तथाकथित मस्जिद की, ये पार्ट है एक प्री एग्जिस्टिंग हिंदू मंदिर का। मतलब एएसआई ये कह रहा है कि जो पश्चिमी दीवार है, ये पश्चिमी दीवार एक हिंदू मंदिर का पार्ट है। During the recent survey, this stone inscription was recovered from a room in the mosque. सर्वे के दौरान ये जो वहाँ पे इंस्क्रिप्शन था उसी मॉस्क के रूम से मिला। However, the lines related to the construction of the mosque and its expansion have been scratched out. जो मॉस्क बनाने की और उसकी रिपेयर की बात थी, इस इंस्क्रिप्शन से उन लोगों ने उसको मिटा दिया है। This is also brought out by the biography of Aurangzeb, Majlis Alamgiri, which mentions that Aurangzeb issued orders to the governors of all the province to demolish the schools and temples of infidels। और ये जडूनाथ सरकार की फाइंडिंग को एएसआई ने रिलाई किया है और 2 सितंबर 1669 को बताया गया कि विश्वनाथ की जो मंदिर है वो ढहा दी गई। तो एएसआई ने यहाँ पे जडूनाथ सरकार की फाइंडिंग को रिलाई किया है मजलिस आलमगिरी। बताए तो 1669।
Well, that was Vishnu Shankar Jain, the lawyer for the Mandir side, and we have an exclusive copy of this ASI report that Vishnu Shankar Jain was referring to. What does this report contain? What really are the most important aspects of it? I'm going to take you through what has been found by the ASI as per this report, where the petitioners have, through a legal process now, been able to receive a copy of. This is very, very significant. It says that inscription on a loose stone, ASI had in its custody record of an inscription engraved on a loose stone which recorded construction of the mosque in the 20th on the 20th regional year of other than it's not exactly clear, Alamgir, that is Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, corresponding to AH 1087. It also goes on to say that this particular inscription, I'm just going to read out from a copy that I have with me. Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, corresponding to 1676 to 77 CE. This inscription is also recorded at the year AH 1207 or 1792 to 93. The mosque was repaired with sahan, etc. The photograph of this stone inscription was recorded in ASI records in the year 1965 to 66. Very, very significant. It's not just a new finding, but the stone existed, which talks about the time of the construction of this mosque, and it corresponds to Emperor Aurangzeb. They've also gone on to say in point number 19 that during the recent survey, this stone with inscription was recovered from a room in the mosque. However, the lines relating to construction of the mosque and its expansion have been scratched out. This is also brought out by the biography of Emperor Aurangzeb, Masir-e-Alamgiri, which mentions that Aurangzeb issued orders to governors of all provinces to demolish the schools and temples of infidels. If we can have that earlier page, please. And it talks about of all principles of all provinces to demolish the schools and temples of infidels. On 2nd September 1669, it was reported, according to Emperor Command, that his officers had demolished the temple of Vishwanath at Kashi. They also have talked about sculptural remains in cellars. A series of cellars were also constructed to the east to create additional space and platform. Talking about pillars and plasters used in the existing structure, they were studied systematically and scientifically for the enlargement of the mosque and constructing Sahan parts of the pre-existing temple, including pillars and plasters were reused with little modifications. A minute study of the pillars as well as the plasters in the corridor suggests they were originally part of a pre-existing Hindu temple. For the reuse in existing structure, Vyala figures carved on either side of lotus medallion were mutilated, and after removing the stone mask from the corners, that the space was decorated with floral design. This observation is supported by two similar plasters still existing on the northern and southern wall of the western chamber in their original place. Or also talking about the very important part of inscriptions, I'm just going to read this out before I go across to my colleague Siddharth. During the survey, a number of inscriptions were noticed on the existing and pre-existing structures. A total of 34 inscriptions were recorded during the present survey and 32 estampages were taken. These are in fact inscriptions on the stones of pre-existing Hindu temples which have been reused during the construction repair of the existing structure, including inscriptions in Devanagari, Grantha, Telugu and Kannada scripts. Reuse of earlier inscriptions in structure suggests that earlier structures were destroyed and their parts were reused in construction repair of the existing structure. Three names of deities such as Janardana, Rudra and Umeshwara are found in these inscriptions. Let me go across to Siddharth. Siddharth, this is very, very significant. For the first time, the ASI report has specifically talked about the corresponding time of the construction of a masjid. It has talked about how there are common pillars. It has talked about the findings as far as idols are concerned in the basement. And it has also very importantly said that they believe that there was a temple that was destroyed, or earlier structures were destroyed and their parts were reused in construction and repair of the existing structure. Or in other words, where the Gyanvapi Masjid exists, there was earlier a temple.
Well, Madhav, in fact, they've actually gone a step further compared to the ASI report. If you were to compare this particular report with the one that came out in the Babri case in the year 2003 and had been submitted before the Allahabad High Court at that point in time, you've read out most of the important portions of the excerpts that we've managed to access of the ASI report. But let me touch upon a very important part, and this is paragraph 24 of the report. I'll just read it in its entirety. Existing architectural remains, decorated moldings on the walls, Kamaratha and Pratiratha of central chamber, a large decorated entrance gate with Torana on the eastern wall on the western chamber, a small entrance with mutilated image of Lalita Bimba, birds and animals carved for decoration in and outside suggest that the western wall is remaining part of a Hindu temple. Based on art and architecture, this pre-existing structure can be identified as a Hindu temple. And here's what's also important. The Arabic Persian inscription found inside a room mentions that the mosque was built in the 20th regnal year of Aurangzeb, 1676 to 77 CE. Hence, the pre-existing structure appears to have been destroyed in the 17th century during the reign of Aurangzeb, and part of it was modified and reused in the existing structure. This appears to be the concluding para. Based on scientific studies, survey carried out, study of architectural remains, exposed features and artifacts, inscriptions, art and sculptures, it can be said there existed a Hindu temple prior to the construction of the existing structure. Madhav, so fairly elaborate in its findings, a definite fillip in this particular case to the Mandir side. That's always been advocating that this particular mosque was built on the ruins of an existing Hindu temple. What still remains to be determined, however, Madhav, and we've not accessed the entire report, these are excerpts that we've been reading, is the exact nature or character of the Hindu temple in question.
Well, absolutely. As you rightly mentioned, this is a portion of it. And of course, there would be a lot more that perhaps would be contained. We believe the report is over 100 pages. What exactly are the exact nature of findings? We have, of course, a portion of it and excerpts of it. But let me quickly get in Akanksha on this. Akanksha, you've covered the Gyanvapi case extensively on ground. Now, the presence of the ASI report now, how does this proceed from here, legally speaking? Which court will be looking at it? It's at the stage as far as the trial court is concerned. But from here on, how will the strategy of both sides play out in the courts, and what are the legal implications of an ASI report that has very significant findings? Akanksha.
Well, absolutely, Madhav. Remember, the Muslim side had initially they had challenged the process of the ASI survey. They had said that it was being conducted in the order that was passed by the judge was not correct. But now it remains to be seen when they challenge the contents of this report. But definitely, the truth about the Gyanvapi mosque is out, and this vindicates the stand by the Hindu side, wherein they had repeatedly told the court that the mosque stands atop the Mandir, and also it was demolished by Aurangzeb in 1669. On the other hand side, the Muslim side had said that the mosque has been standing there from more than 1,000 years, and also it was not demolished by Aurangzeb. But this report tells a completely different story, Madhav, because it firstly says that there was a pre-existing temple, also that the western wall is that of a temple, also the mosque pillar is that of a temple, and there are as many as 34 inscriptions with the names of 3 deities, is what the ASI report suggests. Now
Right.
it remains to be seen whether or not the Muslim side now.
Let me come in now, Akanksha. We'll continue to track all the developments. I'd like to thank you and Siddharth for joining us with all those inputs. Let me quickly open this up and take this across to our guests. We have with us Lokesh Jindal, political analyst. Also with us is Advocate Ahmed Ayaz, former secretary of J&K Muslim Personal Law Board. Professor Atikur Rahman, political analyst, is with us. With us is Anila Singh, spokesperson of the BJP. Tushar Gupta, political analyst, also joining us. But I want to go first and foremost to Shankar Jain, lawyer. Shankar Jain, these are very, very significant findings of the ASI, and perhaps the ASI has been persuaded to conclusively say that there existed a temple earlier which was perhaps destroyed, and has put across a lot of evidence, including the archaeological evidence, I beg your pardon, that they've managed to piece together in terms of the timeline and when the temple, or over a temple, a mosque was built, apparently as per the survey.
Okay, from the very beginning, I was repeatedly saying that this present structure, like other structure, has been raised, constructed after demolishing Hindu temple. And this is the fashion in which all the Muslim rulers acted in committed barbarian acts, cruel act, and destroyed temples from the very beginning. This is also one of those unfortunate temples where during Aurangzeb this temple was demolished and the present structure has been constructed. It is unfortunate. And when we said that there should be a SI survey, all the Muslim parties made hue and cry that no, there should be no survey. Secularism, there is a threat to secularism. I could not conceive how type of secularism. If you destroy a temple, sit over it, recite namaz, it is secularism. So this is very unfortunate, and it is unfortunate for the nation that this type of secularism we are going to tolerate. And we can never tolerate such type of secularism. The place of worship act, places of worship act. Place of worship act is not a declaration of to rectify or to legalize all the illegal acts or barbarian acts committed during Mughal era. I submit again and again, thus this present structure was a Hindu temple, it has religious character of Hindu temple, and it should be restored immediately to the Hindus, even by the central government. Central government has the power. It should be restored to Hindus. There should be a special enactment. A special enactment should be made, declaring to be a Hindu temple, and should be given and restored to Hindus.
Right.
And Lord Shiva temple should be constructed.
Let me bring in up other panelists on that point. Let me bring in other panelists. Lokesh Jindal is also with us. Lokesh Jindal, how would you respond to Shankar Jain? He says this cannot be secularism where there is a barbarian act that has been committed on a place of worship. It should be restored. The central government has the power. Your response to him, Lokesh. Please unmute yourself and speak.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Madhav. Madhav, the revelation is not something new. As far as Sir Alexander Cunningham the British archaeologist in 19th century, he has come up with the theory that he has proved that temples were destroyed to build mosques. But the point is, since 1947, there was a resolution by the Constituent Assembly that let's bring about a new change. Let's have a secular India. And it is in this spirit that we had the Places of Worship Act 1991 that was brought about, so that we should not go back to the medieval times whereby we have conflicts based upon religion, religious civil wars. And that is the spirit of the Constitution that we expect must be upheld.
But, sir, there are many who believe, with due respect, Lokesh Jindal, that the 2003 ASI report was one of the most important aspects on which the Supreme Court decided. As far as the Ayodhya case is concerned, I'm going to ask you and other panelists to hold on to your thoughts. We have Ashutosh joining us live from Varanasi, and he has with him petitioner's husband, Mr. Sohan Lal. Ashutosh, over to you. Sohan Lal ji का क्या कहना है इस ASI रिपोर्ट पे?
बिल्कुल, देखिए, जो हिंदू पक्ष है वो बेहद उत्साहित है। पिछले 2 सालों से लगातार जो हिंदू पक्ष की चाहे महिला याचिकाकर्ता हो या फिर सोहन लाल जी हैं, इनका ये तप है, तपस्या है, साधना है, वो आज सिद्ध होता हुआ दिख रहा है। और अब जबकि ASI की सर्वे रिपोर्ट आ चुकी है, उससे साफ तौर पे जाहिर होता है कि ज्ञानवापी कोई इस्लामिक स्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, बल्कि वो हिंदू स्ट्रक्चर है। और जो मंदिर था, एक पुराना मंदिर था, उसको तोड़कर ही बकायदे वहां पर मस्जिद बनाई गई थी। सोहन जी, क्या कहेंगे? आपकी जो सालों की तपस्या थी वो अब धीरे धीरे सिद्ध होती हुई
40 साल से हम ज्ञानवापी के लिए संघर्ष कर रहे हैं। आज जैसे ही ASI का रिपोर्ट आया, हम हर्षित हो उठे। और तो और वह साक्ष्य जो है, जो कि औरंगजेब का फरमान था 2 सितंबर 1669 में मंदिर तोड़ के मस्जिद तामीर की बात हुई, वह जो शिलालेख प्राप्त हो गया। और तो और जो पश्चिमी जो दीवार है या जो पूर्वी दीवार है, जो उसके जो खंबे हैं, जो 14 फीट खंबे हैं, जो 3 फुट चौड़े हैं, जिसमें ओम लिखा हुआ है, जिसमें घंटियां जंजीर लिखे हुए हैं, ये सब हिंदू मंदिर के थे। यानी मस्जिद में प्रयोग किया गया है। और तो और यही नहीं, जितने भी है जो पश्चिमी दीवार, क्या कि विश्व में किसी मस्जिद के सामने नंदी को देखा गया है? ये पहला ऐसा मंदिर है जिसको जो है मस्जिद को निर्माण किया गया। उस दिन जो है हमारे भव्य मंदिर को जो है तलवार के बल पर जो है हमारे आराध्य को तोड़ा गया। लेकिन आज हम कानून के माध्यम से, संविधान के माध्यम से हम अपने मंदिर की मांग।
देखिए, सिर्फ एक पार्ट ही नहीं, पश्चिमी दीवार ही नहीं, बल्कि चाहे सेंट्रल डोम हो या फिर जो मस्जिद के अलग अलग जो हिस्से हैं, वहां के बारे में पूरे विस्तार तरीके से उस ASI की जो रिपोर्ट है उसमें बताया गया है। हमारे साथ सुभाष नंदन चतुर्वेदी जी भी हैं, जो इस पूरे केस को लड़ रहे हैं। सुभाष जी, ये बताइए कि ASI सर्वे का मूल जो बिंदु है उसे आप किस तरीके से देखते हैं और क्या है वो?
देखिए, मूल पूरे रिपोर्ट का एक निचोड़ कहा जाए कि ASI ने अपनी रिपोर्ट में प्राइम फेसी मान लिया है कि ये मंदिर जो है मस्जिद के पूर्व तोड़ने के पूर्व ये मंदिर का बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा मंदिर था, जिसको तोड़ के मस्जिद देने का प्रयास किया गया है। यानी कि मंदिर के ही आधार पे, मंदिर के ही बेसमेंट पे, मंदिरों के ही अवशेष पे ये मस्जिद बनाने का प्रयास किया गया है और मस्जिद का स्वरूप दिया गया है। ये कोर्ट ने माना है। तमाम खंबे जो हैं, जिन खंबों के आधार पर पूरा जो है मस्जिद को खड़ा किया गया है, वो सारे हिंदू मंदिरों के रहे, जिनको मिटाने का प्रयास किया गया है। पश्चिमी वाल जो सारे जो है सारा वाल जो है मंदिर का हिस्सा है, जिसके ऊपर गुम्बद जो है खड़ा किया गया उन्हीं दीवारों पर, वो सारे मंदिर के हिस्से हैं। तमाम जो है जमीनों के अंदर हमारे तमाम देवी देवताओं के टूटे हुए जो अभ्रंश वहाँ पड़े हुए हैं, देवी देवता जो टूटे हैं। कुएं जो है सेंट्रल डोम के नीचे कुएं की आकृति की मिली है। तो कहा जाए कि तमाम ये जो सारे साक्ष्य निकल कर आए हैं ASI रिपोर्ट में, ये चीख चीख के चिल्ला रहे हैं कि हम मंदिर हैं। यानी कि प्रथम
और आगे का रास्ता क्या होगा? देखिए, हमारे साथ रेखा जी हैं, जो इस केस में महिला याचिकाकर्ता भी है। रेखा जी, क्या कहेंगी? लगातार 2 सालों से आप लोग एक तरीके से तपस्या, हम कहेंगे तपस्या कर रही थी, और आज उस पर वैज्ञानिक तरीके से मुहर लगी है।
देखिए, सबसे ज्यादा तपस्या तो माँ सिंगार गौरी और नंदी भगवान कर रहे हैं, उनसे तो हम लोग कम ही कर रहे हैं। लेकिन हाँ, 92 दिन का सर्वे हम लोग के लिए बहुत अद्भुत था। उस क्षण हम लोग अपनी आंखों में बसाए हुए थे। आशुतोष भाई, आपसे क्या बोले, पश्चिमी दीवार के नीचे जो हम लोग देवड़ी कहते हैं, वहाँ पे नंदी भगवान विराजमान है बने हुए, उसी के जस्ट निकल चौकोर अर्घा मिला है। 1 से 1.5 फीट के विष्णु भगवान मिले, जो इसमें जनार्दन का, और 1 से 1.5 फीट के शंकर जी का मूर्ति मिला है।
और इसी को साथ यही कारण भी था कि आप लोग इतने कॉन्फिडेंट थे कि नहीं वहाँ पर हिंदू मंदिर ही है।
हम लोग देखते हैं, हम लोग पिछले कोर्ट कमीशन में गए थे तो हम लोग देखा था, हमने नरसिंह भगवान की वहाँ मूर्तियाँ मतलब दीवार पे अंकित हैं, और उन लोग के मस्जिद में शेर की मूर्ति नहीं मिलेंगी आपको, लेकिन वहाँ पे शेर, खम्भों में शेर की मूर्ति है। अभी बताइए, जब अभी हाथ के पंजों से इतना खरोच के निकाल दिए साक्ष्य 300 प्लस, जब खुदाई होगा तब क्या होगा?
खुदाई होगा तब क्या होगा? एएसआई ने भी आप साफ तौर पे कह दिया है कि वो कोई इस्लामिक स्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, बल्कि वो मंदिर ही था, और मंदिर को ही तोड़कर वहाँ पर जो मस्जिद है उसका निर्माण किया गया था। लक्ष्मी
जी, ये तो सत्य है कि हमारे मंदिर था, है और रहेगा भी। और ये जो एएसआई सर्वे की रिपोर्ट से आज साबित हो गया कि हमारा मंदिर है।
देखिए, अब इस वक्त हमारे साथ वो चारों महिला याचिकाकर्ता मौजूद हैं जो पिछले 2 सालों से संघर्ष कर रही थी। मंजू जी, इधर आइए, किस तरीके से शब्दों में बयां करेंगी, किस तरीके से थोड़ा सा गुनगुना दीजिए। आप गुनगुनाते भी रहती हैं।
करते हैं मेरे भोले, मेरा नाम हो रहा है बाबा आपकी कृपा से, बोले आपकी कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है। करते हैं मेरे भोले, मेरा नाम हो रहा, बाबा आपकी कृपा से सब काम हो रहा।
काम तो धीरे धीरे हो रहा है, लगातार हम देख रहे हैं। पहले कोर्ट कमिश्नर की कार्रवाई हुई, उस दौरान बहुत सारे साक्ष्य मिले, तस्वीरें मिली, वीडियो मिले, और आज उस पर एक तरीके से वैज्ञानिक तरीके से मुहर भी लग चुकी है। आगे का रास्ता क्या होगा, किस तरीके से देखती हैं? क्या अब आप लोग की जो एक इच्छा थी, जिसे लेकर आप लोग संघर्ष कर रही थी कि माँ श्रृंगार गौरी की पूजा, वो अब अधिकार आपको मिलेगा? कितना, कब तक मिल सकता है, क्या लगता है आपको?
देखिए, शिव के साथ शक्ति और शक्ति के साथ शिव जुड़े हुए हैं, तो दोनों का ही हम लोग को पूजा करना है। एक का पूजा करके जो है आधे रह जाएंगे, अधूरे पूजा है। तो अब हम लोग मेन जो है, हमारे जो बाबा जी मिले हैं, उनको बार बार फव्वारा बोल के हमारी आस्था को, सारे सनातनियों के आस्था।
तो अब जो बारी है वो वजू खाने की बारी है, क्योंकि वजू खाने में ही जो तथाकथित।
All right, that's Ashutosh. I'd like to thank you for bringing us all the 4 lady petitioners, as well as Sohan Lal, the husband of one of them, who has been standing with them, as well as the lawyer. We'll keep coming back to you for more updates. We'll also get you the masjid side's lawyers and what their legal strategy will be from here on. Ashutosh, hamare sath bane rahiye. But I want to first go across to Vishnu Jain, who's also joining us on the broadcast. I'm told, Vishnu Jain, if you can hear me. My question to you, do we have Vishnu Jain patched with us? All right, we're just going to get Vishnu Jain in a few minutes, but all right, I'm told he's joining us now at the moment. Vishnu Jain, very, very big survey report. Yes. To begin with, I'd like to ask you details of this report. How many pages is this report? What happens from here on? You've already spoken in a press conference about what the findings are. What's going to be the legal strategy from here on? Vishnu Jain.
See, the report of the Archaeological Survey of India is very, very clear. And the conclusive part of the report, I must quote the ASI. The ASI has said that based on the scientific studies, survey carried out, studies of the architectural remains, exposed feature and artifacts, inscriptions and art and sculptures, it can be said that there existed a Hindu temple prior to the construction of existing structure, which is very, very important. And the other very important finding is of the ASI, which I am just quoting in front of you, that hence the pre-existing structure appears to have been destroyed in the 17th century.
Yes.
Aurangzeb, and part of it was modified and reused in the existing structure.
Right.
So the material of a pre-existing temple was used in constructing this so-called mosque. Now the question is that in light of this finding, whether any legal mosque can stand? Can any Islamic scholar in this country say that after demolishing a Hindu temple, a mosque can be created? Because let me tell you, Madhav, for having a valid mosque, it is very, very important to have a valid waqf.
Right.
And valid waqf can only be created by Mussalman of his self-acquired property, not by demolishing a Hindu temple.
Right.
So this is an aspect of Mohammedan law. The other aspect is of Hindu Shastrik Niyam. Hindu Shastrik Niyam is very, very clear that once a temple, always a temple. Until the end of the time, it remains a temple's property. So it is very, very clear from the report of the ASI that there was a pre-existing temple. And in future, I think in furtherance of this report, I think the Anjuman Intizamiya will be filing their objections before the Honorable Court. After that, this report will be made part of the record of the court. Then
Okay.
issues will be framed, evidence will be led, and then the final judgment of the
So
Honorable
there's still a
Court.
long road ahead. But Vishnu Jain, I want to ask you this, because there are those who are comparing this to the 2003 ASI report as far as the Ram Temple case is concerned, the Ram Janmabhoomi case is concerned. And they are saying that in this case, the ASI has gone a step further to use the word that it appears to have been destroyed, that the earlier temple structure not just existed, but appears to have been destroyed. Do you believe that this makes for a legal provisions are concerned?
Yes, you are absolutely right. This has gone a step ahead. And I think the cases and the facts of each and every cases are different. Ram Mandir case, in the Ram Mandir case, there were excavations which were conducted. Here, the structure itself is giving an evidence that this structure is of a Hindu temple. So obviously, all the facts of each and every case differ as to the scenario of that case. So in this case, the structure, the so-called structure itself is saying that it's ruins of a Hindu temple. The Western Wall, ASI has given a conclusion that Western Wall is a wall of a Hindu temple. The pillars, ASI has given a conclusion that the pillars which are used in the so-called mosque are the pillars of Hindu temple. So all these things go and show, and it proves our case very, very significantly that this is a case of illegal possession by Anjuman Intizamiya, and our temple is tried to be used as a mosque. And Madhav, let me also tell you that it throws a lot of light on the provisions of Places of Worship Act. Because let me tell you that the Places of Worship Act uses the word religious character. Now the religious character, after the finding of the ASI, is very, very clear that there was a religious character of a Hindu temple. So in light of these provisions and in light of this background and in light of this fact, I think we have a very, very strong case.
Yes.
And definitely we'll move forward to see that this trial is concluded at the earliest.
Yeah, but Vishnu, I want to ask you, you were seen when the court commissioners were carrying out their own survey earlier about, you came out saying that Baba Mil Gaye, etc. And that was in reference to the shivling-like structure that was found in the Wazu Khana. In the excerpts that we have accessed, there appears to be no conclusive aspect on the exact antecedents or the precise character of that structure. Does that remain inconclusive after the ASI report as well?
No, let me clarify. That sealed area, that Wazu tank area was not the jurisdiction of the ASI. An ASI survey was carried out excluding the sealed area. Our demand is pending in the Supreme Court. And let me tell you, the Allahabad High Court had ordered on 12th of May 2023 for ASI survey of the sealed area of the Wazu tank, the so-called Wazu tank. The Anjuman Intizamiya went to the Supreme Court and asked for a stay. The Honorable Supreme Court had stayed the ASI survey on 19th of May. And we are going to move to the Honorable Supreme Court seeking and making a request that ASI survey must be carried out in the sealed area also.
Right. Also, Vishnu Jain, the ASI says that it has recovered sculptures of Hindu deities and carved architectural members were found buried under the dumped soil in cellar 2. So which deities are these? Is there any further information available as for what the exact nature of the recovery of these deities or idols are?
Lot of deities were found during the survey, and I would not be making any statement which is against the ASI report. ASI report, we have just received the copy of the ASI report. So let us go through the ASI report in toto. It's a 839 pages report, and then we will make any statement.
All right. And Vishnu, it's an 839-page report is what you are telling us. That's very, very significant. And in terms of, what we are looking at immediately, we can see there are several aspects which talk about the architectural remains, the decorated moldings. There's also a reference to a loose stone that was found during Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's era. Now, there are two aspects to this. During a recent survey, they say that the stone with the inscription was recovered from a room in a mosque. However, lines relating to construction of the mosque and its expansion have been scratched out. But they say that in the year 1965 to 66, a photograph of this stone inscription was recorded in ASI records. So can we say that this is conclusive in such a position?
Yes. This is a very, very important piece of evidence. And let me tell you, during the ASI survey, in the room of the mosque, this inscription was found, half broken. Half broken inscription was found. The original photograph of this inscription is with the ASI in 1965 as stated by the ASI, and that inscription is a very, very strong proof of evidence.
Right. And the Western Wall also is an important part because they've talked about certain pillars and pilasters, and they say that the Western Wall was an existing part of a temple at that point of time. They are conclusive. Are they conclusive about the findings as far as the Western Wall is concerned?
Yes. Yes, the ASI is very, very conclusive about the findings of the Western Wall, and the ASI has gone on to say that this Western Wall is of a Hindu temple.
Right. And Vishnu, I also want to ask you, when you mentioned religious character, the fact that there was some amount of worship that took place post 1947 at the Shringar Gauri deity, that was carried out. Does that also add to that religious character apart from the ASI survey? And do you think that that is also something that will help in your case?
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. The worship which is going on after 1947, our case is very, very clear that before 1947 worship was going on, and after 1947 also worship was going on. So the religious character of this place is of a Hindu temple, and therefore the ASI report will be an addition to our case, and it will be a very important piece of evidence.
All right, Vishnu Jain, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us your perspective. I'm going to take this across to our other guests also with us at this point of time. We have with us Professor Atikur Rahman. Professor Atikur Rahman, you heard Vishnu Jain. He's a lawyer for the Mandir side. Of course, the matter is nobody's going to second guess what the courts can do, but the lawyer believes that this ASI report is in fact more conclusive or has gone a step further from the 2003 ASI report as far as the Ram Janmabhoomi case is concerned, and he believes that the evidence is that much stronger in this case. How would you look at it, Professor Atikur Rahman?
So, Madhav, see how these things are so crystal clear. I would say that the ASI report is another part of the same coin which our history books have already established. I will like to quote the historian Irfan Habib Sahab, which has already admitted that Aurangzeb had destroyed this particular place. He usurped it. He was a bigot. He was not having any law, any constitution into his hands. And that's why this bigotry the Indians had to face. Now the question arises, and with full regards to Mr. Vishnu Jain, that what stops the central government call a very, very special session of the parliament, and not only the Gyanvapi mosque, but all other, sites which they claim to be Hindu temples on which the mosques are struck. The central government can do it easily rather than demeaning the Indian culture, the Hindu culture, turning itself into the vulture culture of the media. Stop this bigotry by the media, sir.
So how is this media bigotry, sir?
We are living in. Madhav, stop this.
How is this media bigotry? We are quoting an ASI report. You're welcome to give your views. You can disagree with this.
People don't understand this, Madhav. The people are sensitive all through. In India, the social media is up in the arms of them. Please stop this bigotry. Let the central government, the judiciary...
Are you saying we should not discuss ASI reports also?
That the central government can pass any law in the legislature.
No, you can ask a question of the BJP. Please ask them, but please don't accuse the media of bigotry when we are just reading out an ASI report. It's a sensitive issue, sir. All sides will have their say. All sides will have their say. We will get the masjid side also. We will get their lawyers as well. But please don't accuse the media falsely of doing their work. Don't accuse them of bigotry in this particular case. Please, my request is let's keep all sensitivities at hand. But let me put this question across to the BJP spokesperson, Anila Singh. Anila Singh, you heard the question coming in from Professor Atikur Rahman. He says central government has all the powers. Why don't you bring in a fresh law? And why don't you go ahead and undo what has been done in the past? Please respond to him.
My Ram Ram to all and Charan Sparsh to Vishnu Shankar Jain ji. I was listening to Atikur Rahman ji, and Atikur Rahman ji, why are you sounding so frustrated? Why are you so angry? Why are you accusing central government for it? Or rather, I'll say that why are you accusing Bharatiya Janata Party for it? You must realize one thing, that you have to face the fact. You have to face the truth. If ASI is doing survey, the report will be discussed. If the case is being heard in the court, then definitely you should be prepared to hear the judgment as well. The way
Is
you
has
are
already
accusing,
been
the way,
mentioned
no
in
sir, I did not
various
interrupt.
historical
You should
evidences.
allow me to complete what I am saying. Yes, this is for certain. Bharatiya Janata Party has always stood for the right cause. Whenever
Why are you
Sanatanis
asking
have
such a question?
and this is a
Why
right,
the
this place.
central government want to put up the
One by one, sir. One by one, sir. No, Professor Atikur Rahman, there is a legal process underway. There is a judicial process underway. It's as per the law that this is happening. If you have a problem with it, you can voice your opinion. Nobody is stopping you. But please let her make her point. You asked her a question, let her respond. Anla Singh.
Yeah. Like if we talk about Kashi, if we talk about Baba Vishnath's link is, it is Adi link. It is called Abhimukteshwar link there. So they should realize this thing, and that all the Hindus, all the Sanatanis, all the Shiv Bhakts, they have sentiments attached to the place. And if you have got some respect for Sanatanis, if you have got some love, some trust, some respect again for the Hindus, you should come. You means your community should come forefront, and they should say, okay, fine. This masjid was made.
Let me bring in. All right, we have limited time. I want to bring in Advocate Ahmed Fayaz as well. Advocate Ahmed Fayaz, would you like to respond to Anla Singh?
It's not only my response to, I will say in general, I'm saying as long as something is happening in a planned way, where the Religious Places Act, which was passed on this particular issue, doesn't matter, then why does ASI report matter or anything else matter? For that purpose, we have Babri Masjid case in front of us, where there I don't think the Supreme Court upheld the claim that the Babri Masjid was demolished but built after the temple was demolished. And thereafter, again, it was said that Babri, this temple needs to be there. So when certain
actually said there were the ruins of a Hindu temple there.
Let me make my point, please.
Yeah, please make your point quickly. We have limited
done
time.
in an organized manner with an intent, and then it is better that the government of India should pass a legislation scrapping the Religious Places Act and making something new.
Okay,
and,
Tushar Gupta,
people.
why does the government not simply scrap the Places of Worship Act if this is to be done?
Good evening, Madhav. Madhav, there is a process to be followed. Looking at the structure in Gyanvapi, even a child can conclude that it was a temple before a barbarian built a mosque upon it. Nevertheless, a process has to be followed. A process is being followed like it was followed for the Ram Mandir. For the Bhavya Ram Mandir, it will be followed here as well. But my question is that we all seem to be in agreement that a mosque was built upon a temple. A conflicted structure was built upon a temple. Even Professor Atikur Rahman, even though he's very in deep anguish, agrees that the mosque was built by a conqueror, by a barbarian over a temple. So why does he have a problem if the ASI is conducting its investigation? Why does he have a problem if the media is reporting the ASI report? Why does he have a problem if people on social media want to study that report and form their own opinion and conclusions? My problem, Madhav, is that everyone knows that there is a long history where temples were demolished or partially demolished and structures were built upon them. They all know that. They've all read about it. But they do not want to make any effort to correct the historic wrong. They do not want the government to make any effort. They do not want people to make any effort. That is what hurts me the most. What about the secularism? We keep talking about the secularism, but
all right,
I'm afraid
I would have liked to have an even longer debate on this. It's a very complex issue. There's no two ways about it. There are legal aspects, there are religious aspects, there are many aspects that have to be discussed threadbare. This is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of this entire case. It's a very, very important ASI report. In the past, we've seen courts rely on ASI report, particularly as far as the Ayodhya case is concerned. What will happen? We cannot second guess what the courts will do, but certainly, of course, the ASI report at this point of time appears to be fairly conclusive is what we can say. All eyes on what the courts will do next. Anla Singh, Tushar Gupta, Vishnu Shankar Jain, Lokesh Jindal, Advocate Ahmed Ayaz, Professor Atikur Rahman, as well as all our reporters, and of course Vishnu Jain for joining us. Thanks so much this evening.